Hey everybody, how are you? Thanks for being with myself and with Jim McCormick and with Dave Pyper for this last episode of the Harris After Dark, or whatever it's called, of 2023. Dave Pyper has told me in my ear that he's great. Jim, how are you?
I'm greater, just better than that. Yeah.
Is that in general better than Dave Pyper? Do we need to get on the mic here,
No.
Dave, and like contest that?
Just this week.
Just right now.
Yeah.
Well, last week wasn't so good. Last week, somehow it seemed like we were opposite on our picks on every single one, and yet somehow I went 500 and you went like 2 under 500 or whatever, or 7 under. I don't know what you went, but it was not good. And the thing to note, I mean, we view this as a show that previews the week in NFL. We try to talk about the goofy things that are happening with the teams and actual football stuff, and then in the end, we do make picks, and that's, DraftKings, thank you for sponsoring us, and we do make picks. And somehow, after 16 weeks, Jim, 16 weeks of slaving over these picks and making sure we've done the best we possibly can, we're both exactly at 500.
It's hundreds of games matching up to this one result, and somehow half of your wins are Minnesota and New England, and half of mine are emotionally hedging the Eagles. So it works.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, all right. We're here to talk about Week 17, and we'll get to them in a second. I mean, our best bets were good last week. I mean, admit it, Jim. Last week, when I told you my best bet was the Ravens covering in San Francisco, I saw your eyes go a little crooked. You didn't think that was that smart.
It's not that it just was so different my take. So I mean, I don't know if it was different. It almost like it shook me a little bit because I was like, wait, he really believes this. It wasn't a gut call. It was more that you talked about the neutral field aspect, that like this team is not this much better, and right. that there's just it's also about the steam that you mentioned. It's true. Like we also haven't seen Baltimore much on this big stage. As good as they've been, they're like 1:00 games in Baltimore. Like San Francisco's been on our stage the whole year. I got caught up in the steam. I did.
I mean, I honestly think I just don't think there's a great team this year. I mean, God, I hope everybody watched last week or listened last week because, we played the funny sound effects of who's a good team and who's not, who's a bad team, right? We didn't do who's a good team, but who's a bad team. And we came up with 18 bad teams or something, right? That's way more than half the league belong in the bottom 6 of the league probably, but they just aren't because there are so many bad teams. And I think because of that, people want there to be a good team. And there just really isn't. There isn't a great team this year. And so anyway, we'll get into the picks and we'll see when we get down to the Ravens whether we can convince ourselves that they're the next one to fall. We'll start with a Thursday night game that only a mother could love, or Dave Pyper. Frankly, Dave Pyper could love it. It is the Browns hosting the Jets. We're going to get another Trevor Siemian game. It's that fabled matchup of Trevor Siemian against Joe Flacco. I will admit right now, my tendency here, Jim, is to say, oh, you all think Joe Flacco's good? Okay, well, let's fast forward a couple games because I know how this ends. It's just a question of whether it ends this week. So do you, against this defense, the Jets defense, I mean, is this the moment where Flacco becomes Flacco?
Yeah, I mean, this is, first of all, the Ballad of Flacco was written about this game. And it won 4 Grammys, if you remember. But it is, again, I'm learning from you, but I'm taking more of the idea of like how the market steams things up or how things roll, right. Especially even the fantasy community does this. Not that drives lines, but it drives perception where it's like Flacco is throwing for a lot of yards and he's doing things. And then obviously when you incorporate the Amari Cooper breakout, yeah, it's just a lot of helium for this team. One thing that was really cool, and to the side, is that I saw Sumner Sports, this analytical nerd group, put together this cool thing about how diverse and good is your defense. So meaning you could be diverse, you could be like, static and bad, static and good, diverse and bad, diverse and good. And the Browns were like the kings of static and good. Jim Schwartz is like, we're going to do the same thing this week. That can be a problem because they're really good at executing that. But I also think Trevor Siemian is the one guy that can figure out a complex algorithm. So, yeah.
Where were the Jets on that matrix?
They were good but diverse, so they switched things up. Like they give different looks, whereas the Eagles were bad and different. So it was just like, oh, great. Right. So yeah.
I mean, my feeling about the this comes down to, is Flacco going to be good against the Jets defense? Because I just assume that Trevor Siemian will not be good against the Browns defense. So we should say this line is 7.5, right? So Browns 7.5 at home. And The only decision here really is, okay, I just saw Amari Cooper set a team record for receiving yards in a game. I've just seen Joe Flacco essentially every time he dropped back hit his back foot and go ha 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 in a particularly masculine, hairy way and throw it deep. Like, can you do that against the Jets? It's obvious you can do it against the Texans. Like, can you do it against the Jets? Like, I kind of think you can't. That the path to beating the Jets is actually running against them, but maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. I feel like this is too much respect for Joe Flacco.
I agree. Yeah. Look, this is one of these things where I had this at -6.5. So it's not like I don't think this is a crazy line, but I had it there's a big difference between that in a betting sense. And obviously the way that football numbers work, it's just giving over a touchdown is very difficult for me. I just imagine a grind, like a gross grind of a game. And I do respect the Jets defense enough. And like, this isn't one of these bad teams that is just completely out. Like, it seems like they're still trying. They're still doing motivational speeches. Like, I'm into it.
By the way, Aaron Rodgers coming out this week and saying, hey man, I wasn't the one who wanted me put off IR to keep some other person's roster job. Hey man, that wasn't me. I'm trying to think of a lie more bald-faced, and I mean, in any context. I know
the lie.
What's the lie?
It's that he didn't bring his cell phone into that little cave room. You know, like he was was checking all of his burners. He was in there. He had Wi-Fi in that little room. So yeah.
I mean, you are a liar, sir. Clip it, Dave Pyper. I'm calling Aaron Rodgers a liar. It is not true. He absolutely demanded to be put on the active roster because how else was the drama going to continue? Like, you are a liar, sir. All right. Let's move on because Monday Night Football is Saturday Night Football this week. We're going to get Buck and Aikman for a very good game, and I'm really looking forward to that because I think Buck and Aikman are the best duo in broadcasting right now. It's the Lions, it's the Cowboys. Both teams are in the playoffs, but they both have tons to play for. I mean, with the Cowboys now, the chance of the division feels like it's gone a little bit away, but it's not totally gone. Still a chance, and both of them care about seeding, obviously, and potential tiebreakers for if they meet in the second round. Yada yada yada. It matters. Let's put it that way. This is what Jared Goff. We saw him in a dome last week. He was good. He played well. It wasn't his own dome, and he goes to another dome. So maybe the road stuff goes away, and now it's only about the wind or the rain or the something. I feel like I know what I'm getting with Jared Goff. I feel like I know what I'm getting with the Lions. They're pretty good. I don't know what I'm getting with the Cowboys, though. Do you?
No, I don't. I don't know which team shows up. Like, I had this, not to go into the line, but this is like a Vegas zone line to me. Like, it's hard to read. But they've recovered well before Dallas. They are a bounce back team. But it's weird because you're saying we can predict Detroit, but they are really strange too, right? Also, they're coming off the division win, like the first one since like Barry Sanders' second year. Like, it's been a long time since this team. What I'm saying is they had a lot of alcohol and chewing tobacco this week. So
is your shirt Honolulu blue, by the way? Little darker than that, I guess, right?
It's a little, but it's more. Yeah, I don't know. It's more like a royal blue, I think.
Okay,
because
not quite Honolulu. Yeah.
No, yeah.
I agree with you that the Lions are weird. I just think they're kind of in the matrix of weird and not weird and static and not static. I think the Lions are pretty statically weird. Like, I kind of know what I'm getting. Like, they're going to try to run like crazy, and then they're going to do 17 short passes to Amon-Ra St. Brown, and then it comes down to, okay, does Goff throw interceptions? But the Cowboys, there's absolutely no way. How is this line 6? I don't understand the line at all. I have to admit it. It's not going to be my best bet. I'll spoiler the end of the show, but like, I don't understand it at all.
What did you have the line at? Just not
3.
You're going to tip it, but 3. Whoa. Okay. Wow. Okay. Wow. I had this at -4.5, like weird Vegas zone line, because I just couldn't guess it. But 3 is okay. I like it because it reinforces my hatred of the Cowboys. But it's also this. It's also like Dak just looked bad last week. Like, he just didn't look good. So I don't know. Well, I don't know.
Dak in high precipitation sweat games. He's I don't know idea what he is.
It's the tattoo. It takes over your. He's not porous. He's not porous. He's sealed.
It's
an osmosis thing.
Isn't this line telling you that the Cowboys are 4.5 or 4.5 points better than the Lions? And how are we really?
Like,
do we think
much
that?
better? Much better. Especially
I guess we're both on the same side here, I guess, right?
Yes, we are. Yes.
All right, we're both in the Lions. We're going to take the 6. All right, so let's take a break. And first of all, I want to congratulate the viewer/listener who last week, it down in the comments of the YouTube page, it picked their best bet of the week. It was Balky. And I believe, actually, I don't know who Balky picked. All we said was it was Balky, but Dave Pyper. They picked Seattle. They picked the Seahawks. Thank you, Dave Pyper. Very on top of it. And of course, that leads us. So congratulations, Balky. Thank you very much for watching. And that leads me into thanking DraftKings for sponsoring the show because, without DraftKings, we would have no show all year long. If you're looking for a place to play the games and you live in one of the magic states where it's allowed, it would be wonderful if you downloaded the DraftKings app and signed up using the code HarrisTube, all one word. That tells them that sponsoring the show works. Maybe it means they come back and sponsor next year. And they also, if you make one $5 bet, you'll get $150 in bonus bets put into your account immediately. And then you can play around. And there's a lot to play around with, not only this NFL weekend, which is full of high drama, but also on New Year's Day itself, there's no NFL football because, Jim, there's 2 college games, and I'm actually going to watch them both, which they're going to be the first 2 college games I watch all year.
I mean, this is the time to become a college football fan. It is. I also love Michigan fans acting like they're victims when they're favorites. It's great. I love it.
So I will just make this little symbol that the people on YouTube can see, because that's the main reason I'll be watching it, is this, because I did go to Texas for graduate school. So I'm hooking them for everybody who's listening to this show. Also, I have to admit, like, you're right. Michigan people tend to be a little insufferable. Hey, did you know I went to Michigan? But I rooted for the Wolverines when I was a little kid. I didn't know any better, so I kind of rooting for them.
It's a cool color scheme. I can't lie. So
right, it is a cool. All right. So anyway, we love DraftKings. Thank you, DraftKings, for sponsoring. And if you download that app, if you're interested in some props for the college games or whatever you want, DraftKings got it covered. Use that code HarrisTube. One $5 bet gets you $150 in bonus bets. All right, let's continue with the Sunday games. I'll start with a rematch from 2 weeks ago. I had to look it up, Jim, for a second. I thought that the Texans Titans game in Nashville was last week. I was like, what? How do they have these guys playing back to back? They didn't. It was 2 weeks ago. It was an overtime game. It was stupid. It was a bad game. Very, very stupid, dumb, bad game that Houston won. And now they're reconvening in Houston, and as of our recording this, we don't have definitive information on C.J. Stroud, but as I like to say, if you look at the line and see the Texans favored by 4.5, I think I know what Vegas thinks.
Yeah, I think he's back at practice, which is a great sign considering what he was out with, right?
Yeah.
But my first note on this was, do these teams play 12 times a year? Like, are they breaking the rules? Like, I just feel like we've talked about this team every week. It's like memento, and I have a Titans tattoo, like, on my wrist. Again, kind of an old person comment, I guess. I guess they went to overtime last time. It was close. These are tight teams. But my thing with the Texans is, like, are they, like, too worn down? Are they too eroded by the season? They're pretty beat up, I guess is what I'm trying to say, even without the Stroud conversation. So, and the Titans just find creative ways to lose close. So this is tough for me. I don't know what your read is on these teams. So, like, I'm still trying to find my footing with this one. This is a strange game. I had this very close to the line. So
right. So, I mean, we're saying that the Texans quarterback situation is under some level of question. So is the Titans. I mean, Will Levis didn't play last week, and Ryan Tannehill did an amazing Ryan Tannehill impersonation. I mean, it was spot on. It was exactly right. He did it perfectly. A lot of 4-yard passes right until the end, and then he did get the lead late, but yeah. He wasn't exactly aggressive. I would love, just for our eyeballs, for Will Levis to play and for C.J. Stroud to play, the rookie on rookie. My take is that, Houston absolutely pooped the bed last week, and the defense does feel like it's teetering a little bit, and yet I sort of don't trust the Titans to take advantage of that defense.
Yeah, I guess I could see that. I just think you could run on this Texans team, and this is the only agenda really the Tennessee has. It is true that Tannehill's like a character actor. Like, he's like the Christian Bale of quarterbacks. He's just like, it's like, stop, get out of character. No one's looking, and he's like, no. I'm gonna,
so what I'll say about Derrick Henry is that everybody who had Derrick Henry in week 15 remembers him not running very successfully on the Texans. I'll just say that.
I forgot about that. Even though they play every week, I should remember that. Yeah,
well, they play so much; it's hard to keep track. It's fair.
That's what it is. It is. And it's like a long series. They play every week, so this is the week that Derrick Henry figures it out. So yeah,
I'm tooling the McCormick switcheroo. I'm gonna give you all these reasons, and I agree with you that just why would I lay 4.5 points? I mean, I said it at 4, so there's no value here, I don't think. But yeah, why would I lay 4.5 points between these two teams who, I think in a normal year we'd say they're the 23rd and 25th best teams, but this year they're 11 and 12,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true, but it's just a bad year. All right. The Atlanta Falcons, fresh off of a scintillating win in which they covered, and Jim McCormick easily walked away with his best bet correctly. They are traveling to the Windy City. The Bears also covered against Arizona, although they were leaking oil by the end of it, but they did cover. The Falcons still have something to play for. They're still in the hunt. They can still win their division, albeit a terrible division, but hey, a home playoff date for Arthur Blank is still money, so he'll take it. My thing here about the Bears, Jim, is that I will grant you my premise is off, because if we were starting the season over again, Matt Eberflus would find some stupid way to screw this up. But as currently constituted, if the Bears had somehow been able to play as they've played the past month, maybe even like 6 weeks from the beginning of the season, they would be like in the playoffs, I think.
Oh yeah, I think they'd be like where the Packers are, kind of like that teetering or a little bit. Better than that.
Higher.
Oh, but I like in that 500, that flirty range. Their record's better than I thought it was anyway. I looked at it, I was like, wait, what? And they're improving. It's weird. Their defense actually has some guys. It's tough for me this game though. Like I'm an Atlanta guy. I don't know why. I don't know why.
You keep picking them, and they've been your best bet 2 weeks in a row. You're living dangerously.
It is. It's I'm a mustache guy. It doesn't work for my face, but
I don't think he has the mustache anymore. I think he cut it.
I actually, the Prime has a mustache view. I can, yeah.
That's fair. That's a fair point. I tell you what, I actually was like, I thought when I said it at 4, Bears 4, I was like, ooh, I'm going to be like way on the Bears side. I'm going to be 3 points over. And I'm going to be like revolutionary. And then I saw the line was 3. As of our recording this, the line is 3. And I was like, ooh, I don't feel nearly as confident anymore. Now it feels like I'm right in line with what people think. I would understand it if you go Falcons here, because the Bears don't feel like a trustable 3-point team at home really against anybody. But I'm going to ride the idea that the Bears, I think the Bears right now would be something like 10-5 if they'd played like they've played these last 6 weeks. I think they would have won a lot of those earlier games. I grant you they didn't. And, it's a different muscle to win games when it doesn't matter anymore. In fact, you're probably hurting yourself by winning. But I kind of think they're good.
Well, and also like they've blown leads this year, like at times. But like it's for sure. They have the ability to build the lead, which is impressive to me. They can stack on you. Yeah. My thing is I'm going to do the complete me thing where they can stuff the run, and they have good corners, and yet I had this at -2.5 Bears, so I'm contractually and morally obligated to take the Falcons.
But it sounds like it won't be your best bet.
No, it will not be my best bet. I actually got a call from the mayor of Atlanta. She said stop doing that. So yeah.
You're stressing us all out. All right, big one right here, and it's a big one for this show because my guiding principle here lately has been like, what's the team everybody anointed as the best team? Okay, the next week I'm betting against them. So will I do it? As the Ravens are hosting the Dolphins, I like the Ravens. I like them. And I liked them last week a lot against the 49ers. There's people saw, they win a particular way. The passing game is never going to completely blow you away. The Dolphins passing game is a lot more fun and a lot more open and a lot more exciting. And Lamar's doing a lot of like patting the ball, and then, saving his butt. And it's a tightrope act by a little bit, but I think people saw the defense is really good. And all of which is to say, I don't think they're a great team.
The Ravens, you're saying? Yeah, correct. Yeah. I mean, I guess it speaks to the nature of this year, like the evidence we looked at last week. It's just that like their big wins don't look as impressive now because they crushed like a volatile Seahawks team. They crushed Now this last week was obviously impressive. Like that's really impressive to make Brock Purdy look like the person I want him to be. But that was really impressive. But also some of those things were off. Like 2 of the interceptions were off tips. So like
I think 3 of the 4. I think 3 of them were just fluky.
Yeah, so I didn't read it as much as like as Brock like making terrible decisions or like some of the stuff Hurts has done this year or staring guys down. I don't think that's what it was. I do think the thing that I do like about Baltimore is they have this adaptive fit your skill set team every week. But I don't think Miami is the team you do that against. Meaning, like, they're a speed team. They don't really trick you. You know, they're not like this, like they're good. And I guess that's not a good example coming off the 49ers. But my point is that I know Waddle's out. That's a problem. Or at least, isn't that the assumption? Like,
I actually don't. I think they haven't really said, and as of our recording this, they've like been hinted it's more of a possibility who play than we thought, but that could just be nonsense, right? That could be coach speak.
Sure, that does show up to me in a way, like that could affect it for me because then it's a really top heavy thing. But again, Tyreek Hill's good enough to be 3 receivers anyway, so I'm kind of showing where I'm leaning here. I just think styles make fights, and Miami has a really nice style to go against this team. Especially if they get up early, it's going to change the whole. If they score just once to Hill early, I think it changes the whole dynamics of this Baltimore team. So,
here's what I'll say. The Dolphins are alternately like the sexy team, but also the like who've they beaten team, right? Until last week, and now it's they'd never do that on the road, right? And so here's their opportunity. Like, and they're going to have Buffalo in week 17, that's at home, but week 18 last week. So they've got 2 more what we consider to be non-terrible teams, like didn't make our list of terrible teams last week. Everything in me says that Baltimore's a good matchup for Miami, that Miami doesn't particularly want to get hit in the mouth. And that's Baltimore's guiding principle. Everything in me says the poodle team going to the tough team usually is revealed as a poodle and poops. But I just don't think Baltimore's a good enough team to be considered. I mean, let's be honest. This line is not an extravagant line. This is not people overreacting to this. Is, as of our recording, this is 3.
Yeah. So
like, this is not. I'm a little surprised. Like, I kind of thought when I said that it would be 2, that I thought it would be 6.
Right.
I thought people were going to really react because it's a national game, and the fact they put it 3, like, I still put it 2. I still want to be on the Dolphins. It's my statement about this year, but I could see it going wrong.
I had it -3 Ravens, but it's one of those ones where even though I had it right on, it speaks to what you said. I predicted like a -5, like a bigger line.
You thought you'd be on the Dolphins.
Exactly.
Right?
I thought it would show up like how you spoke about what was it, Chicago. You know what I mean? Like I thought there'd be a gap. So
right. All right, well, we're both on the Dolphins in what should be a really fun game to watch, the early window on Sunday. All right, there's a lot of games in the early window on Sunday. We've got the Saints and the Buccaneers. I remember this game when it was Tampa at New Orleans, that Derek Carr looked horrible and people were shocked. And I was like, what do you want, man? He's bad. Like, you don't watch the games. Wait till we get to Denver. The Saints are traveling to Tampa. I don't know. Aren't these teams kind of mirror images of each other? Maybe not how they get it done, but aren't they like equal levels of crap?
Yeah, I just think it's like when it comes down to like just use this one example of like Christmas presents. Like Baker probably got them all like cases of Four Loko or something illegal or like that was used like that required Bitcoin. And then like Derek Carr got everybody like smoke detectors and like religious candles. And it was like everybody was like really confused. You know what I mean? Or like he got them like a guide on how to renegotiate your mortgage. And it was just like, stop it, Derek. And then like the whole thing was Ponzi scheme. My point is like Derek Carr cannot be trusted to give a good gift and or lead a team. I not predict. I was on the Saints this year, like earlier in the year, and I've learned my lesson of not only losing a lot of bets on them, but just recognizing. We're recognizing that, like, the team that starts the year is not always the team that finishes. Like, this team looks a lot different because they're old and top-heavy, and they're missing their best player, Marcus Lattimore. So, yeah. Also, is Baker – what's going on with Baker here? Is Baker only seeming not as bad because everybody else is so bad? Is that what's happened?
Maybe some of that. I mean, he still makes a bunch of bad plays in every game. There's always a few where you go, oh, my God. And then, so if those passes get dropped, then the Tampa's in it, and if not, they get blown out. They've been blown out a few times. I mean, the thing is that I'm gonna do another double
reverse
backwards reverse flip where I go McCormick all over the place because Tampa's defense, it feels to me, is kind of what New Orleans defense is supposed to be. Tampa's defense is pretty good, and they've kind of shored up the back end a little bit. Everybody was thrown on them a month ago, and they kind of aren't anymore. So I kind of respect Tampa's defense. I don't think New Orleans defense without Lattimore is good at all.
No.
And yet I'm in the Saints here. And I'll tell you, I don't feel super great about it, but what guided me when I tried to predict this line was these are exactly the same teams. 1.5 points.
Right.
This line should be 1.5. If it was Tampa 1.5, I would be like, nope, I'm not playing it. But it's Tampa. What is it? Tampa 3.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just say, yeah, because we're assuming if you assume 1.5 for home field advantage, right? That's what I'm thinking. It's in Tampa. So it's Tampa 3. I don't feel great about it. I'm on the Saints. Can't believe it. Hi, Derek Carr. Can I have a votive candle, please?
I'm on the Bucks. Yeah, I'm on the Bucks just because, like, Christmas presents. That's it. So
Christmas presents. All right, more fun. I think that's fair. Baker Mayfield is more fun than Derek Carr. All right, New England Patriots. They're great now. I'm not sure if you heard the news. They're going to Buffalo after having ended the Russell Wilson era in Denver. They've toppled the tyrant. The statue of Russell Wilson has been toppled in Denver. We'll get to that again in a moment. I don't think we need to talk about this game too much because everybody would expect it. Well, I mean, we could talk about it to the extent that we were both on the Chargers last week when Buffalo came here to Los Angeles, and it felt like emotional win, huge road favorite. Chargers fire their coach. Like, there were just all these elements coming together to say this is going to be a closer game than whatever, 12 or whatever they set it at. I don't see any of those factors here, Jim.
No. And there's that little hatred angle where they just don't like the Patriots. They would love to do this. They would love to help put the nail in, or whatever the analogy would be for getting Bill out of here. I feel like Josh Allen, the Jaguars defensive end, would win this game. So, I mean, just only imagine what a quarterback would do, you know? Yeah.
Don't be fooled. But Bills minus 12 all day long. All right, the Eagles, they're hosting the Cardinals. Another 12-point spread. Oh, no, this one's 11. Sorry, my mistake. It's 11. Here's the difference. What's the word? The Eagles stink. I think the word I'm looking for is stink. They kind of stink, Jim.
They kind of do. I can do a little Philly accent and explain it if you need. It's like, yeah,
Please.
Dude, I'm calling in. I've been on hold for 45 minutes. All I want to say is that Nick Sirianni has lost everybody. My grandma quit on him. Everybody doesn't care about him anymore. I have a Zapruder film of the sideline arguments. Also, I just want to say DeAndre Swift should have 400 carries this week. So that's about what it is in Philadelphia right now. It's the worst 11-win team in the history of time. It's incredible. But they really aren't.
Was that Gene from Dundalk?
Yeah.
Was that Gene from Dundalk?
Yeah, that's Willie from Warminster. Yeah. Craig from Collingsdale. No, but seriously, it's a problem. They make a lot of mistakes. They make a lot of bad decisions, and then at the end, they're in the game mostly. They don't really like. They had that streak where they got killed. But like, for example, the Seattle game, which is like, what was that? Like a 92-yard drive by Drew Lock. So yes, they're their own worst enemy. And they're repeating the same mistakes, which is strange. Not strange, it's just their pattern now. So it comes down to coaching and all kinds of things. So it's depressing. It's depressing. Yeah.
We can get mad at Jalen Hurts. He is what he is. He telegraphs throws. You don't want him really on the number 2 read all that often. He's not been good at it. Like, there's been some level of fraudulence that's been exposed with him as a thrower. He's still clearly a very good quarterback. And there are there are obvious ways that they could probably be taking care of him better with play calling, and they're not. And he's an incredible runner, and he scores all these touchdowns. And in the end, I don't think the offense is the problem. It's the thing that gets blamed the most. Mm-hmm. But I'm sure in Philly, you guys are talking about the defense.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, Slay is out, but even when he was there, Bradbury, like, just don't give his address out. I mean, I wouldn't do it anyway, but like, people like hate Bradbury now. Yeah, it's just the regression. I guess it's when you trust 33-year-old corners, it could backfire. It might not work. I mean, Kelly Ringo played last week. Cool name, but not that good at football yet. So they're in this weird mix. They're in this weird mix where they've used to have the luxury of drafting and redshirting their rookies. Now they're like throwing them in the fire, and people are picking on them. Like, even bad teams will pick on your bad players. We saw Tyrod Taylor hunt our bad corners last week. I said "R." That's so bad. But either way, I'm tipping my hand here. I just think it's too big of a line. I think there's too many backdoor angles to this. I think they could be up 14 or 17 points and still clearly lose this. And they lose contain all the time too, which is not good against. You saw it with Tyrod. It's not a good thing with Kyler coming to town. So yeah.
I mean, take the over. I don't even know what it is. Take the over. Like, I think the Cardinals are going to score points because everybody scores points. Like, I think James Conner's going to run. I can't believe it. Like, 3 weeks ago, I would have told you the Eagles have like a historically good run defense, and now everyone's running against them, and I don't understand it. But I'm McCormick in this show. I'm on the Eagles. I just think it's going to be one of those things where the Cardinals are winning at halftime, and we're like, "See, told you," and then they fumble it twice, and the Eagles, figure out a way to score 4 touchdowns. I've just seen the movie so many times. I don't feel strongly about this one, but we're going to be on opposite sides. Go Birds! I'm on. Did I do that good?
It was. I actually like that one. Yeah, that was good.
Pretty good. Yeah. All right. When I think expansion team, I have to admit, I think Carolina and Jacksonville. That's how old I am. Like, I don't think Houston. I think the previous expansion. It's been a long time. It's 25 years or something. But yeah, I think Carolina and Jacksonville. And I remember their color schemes being like real controversial. And now the entire sports world has followed the Jags and the Panthers. Everything looks exactly like the Jags and Panther uniforms circa 1998 or whatever. The world came around. Whoever ran those teams at that time, they were right. And the rest of us who didn't like blue-tongued leopards were wrong. We've got the Panthers are visiting Jacksonville, and we don't yet know, as of our recording this, whether Trevor Lawrence will play. It was the same as last week. But the fact that he played last week makes me think he's going to play this week. And so this line is Jags by a touchdown.
Yeah, he's kind of like tall Nordic Derek Carr. Like he's like falls apart every week. They put him back together. He's the Humpty Dumpty of the AFC South. This is the teal war, right? Like you said. I went to a Jaguars game in 2003. It was the Jimmy Smith, Mark Brunell era. Keenan McCardle.
They were good.
Yeah, they were good. They beat the Eagles in that game. But I had a sign that was really good. It was a double-sided sign. It said, "Was fuchsia taken?" And then the other side, and I had to look at, and then the other side said, "What did you?" I said, "You all really want to be watching NASCAR." And then I got yelled at. It didn't work out. We got chased out of the parking lot. But I will say this: I don't think this Jaguars team is very good right now. And I don't know how to read the Packers game last week with the Panthers. They suddenly knew how to play offense. But you know what? I went back and watched a condensed version of that game to try to figure it out because obviously it wasn't like a national game. I was kind of impressed by Bryce Young. I can't lie. I know that the Packers, but I was impressed. It wasn't just the last couple of nice throws or those highlight throws, but he looked good and he's coming into something. And maybe we have to give some credit to like his own development rather than he obviously hasn't had continuity with his coaching staff, but he looks better the last couple of weeks to me. So, yeah, I don't know what your take is on that. You just agreed, but what's the read?
All he needed was a special teams coordinator to be his head coach, and the light went on.
A guy named Bobby or Ricky always does well at the end.
And if his name is Ricky Bobby,
well, then he coaches the Jaguars. Yeah, so yeah.
Clearly. I had this exactly at 7. So, but I will. So I'm going to be. This is my push. I think I only have one for the week. I'm not picking this one, but I want to answer your question, which is Bryce Young. Of course, I mean he was bad early in the game, so
right.
I want to temper my enthusiasm. The thing that has seemed incredible to me is suddenly DJ Chark is like great 2 weeks in a row. Not good, great. Like keeping Carolina in that game and like getting them close. Crazy catches, sideline toe taps. Like he's the one who set up the last throw to Thielen where they only had, they 1 second, not enough to get the tying field goal. This is all tempered by tempered is the word of the day, by the way. I keep saying it. The Packers defense being terrible, but I agree. I thought it was his best game. I thought it was Bryce Young's best game.
Yeah, I mean, like DJ Chark's like the Curtis Samuel of DJ Charks. Like he's just like, I don't know what that means. He's just like you watch like 3 highlights, you're like, wow, that guy's good. And then you see he's like 3 catches in the year. You're like, what? But I have it -6. I just think the Jaguars are in their way the whole time. You're already hearing some of the stuff that you heard midseason about Carolina, like the front office calling out the coaching staff calling out the front office. They really haven't hit on any picks in like 3 years, so that's not great.
Yeah, like Etienne and Trevor Lawrence 2 years ago or whatever. I mean, I guess Etienne was 2 years ago.
They don't fit my narrative. So like, I just want to say that I'm taking the points. I'm
okay.
the road dog. I'm the road dog all week here. So it looks like so. Yeah.
No, I mean you're obviously making amazing decisions with your money by picking the Carolina Panthers to cover a point spread. The Raiders coming off of seriously, what was that game? We'll talk about it in a second. They're going to the Colts, and the Colts are much more traditionally the 23rd best team in the league. Like you look at the Colts and you go, okay, lost the quarterback, Gardner Minshew, clear diminishing returns. Like we understand the Colts. We can put a frame around the Colts and go, okay, I got it. The Raiders are so bad, and they won with their quarterback in the last 3 quarters of the game going 0 for 10 and they like won going away. And it's, of course, because Patrick Mahomes is now terrible with football, I guess. But like, it's real tempting to go, wow, the Raiders are for real. And that Aiden O'Connell is Manny from Modern Family. He's terrible.
He's really bad. Did you see the one play action fake he did where he just like jumped and olayed like he was like Steve Largent? It was just amazing. He's not very good. I do appreciate like the just like Antonio Pierce just like eating like a huge turkey leg in the middle of a press conference. He's just like he's gonna have like war paint on his face. He's just amazing. It's any given Sunday, but coaching. It's kind of inspirational. I can't lie. But there are factors that I do like about the Raiders. I hate to say it. Like
me too.
They kind of like
absolutely.
They're like one of these fighters. I keep using fight analogies, but it's like one of these fighters who like knows their limitations in a way, and just like let's just hide those. Let's just only punch him in the gut, and if he punches in the face, we might fall down. So they kind of know that how they want to fight. It doesn't mean that it's always going to translate. So if I'm tipping my hand, also Max Crosby inhales cigars. I don't know if anybody saw that. What? So just want to throw that out there. Like Gardner Minshew would throw up. Like a real hipster. A hipster cannot inhale a cigar. So yeah.
No, I'm actually completely with you. I despite Aiden O'Connell, because I frankly don't think Aiden O'Connell is that much worse than Gardner Minshew. They both stink, right? This is backup quarterback bowl. If the Raiders were really serious about winning games, Jimmy Garoppolo would still be the quarterback, and yet they're still winning games. Like the front office is probably like, could we stop? Could we just get a higher pick? Could we get a quarterback? But the coach clearly wants to win, and that defense is scary, like top 5 type scary right now. Really good defense suddenly playing like excellent, and it wasn't just the fluky turnovers against Mahomes. Like they kind of baffled him a little bit, and I get it. The Chiefs have real depth problems at receiver, but Mahomes usually has an answer, and he just flat didn't in that game. So 100% with you, despite my mockery of Aiden O'Connell. This is Raiders getting 3.5 points. I just think it's like these are either the same team or the Raiders are better because of that defense. So I'm with you. All right, Rams Giants. Someone's going to make a YA Tittle joke or something. I don't know. It's some old, right? These guys have been playing football since the 20s or something. Old franchises. I don't care. But the Rams aren't in the friendly confines. They got to go play a cold weather game. Does that influence the way you look at that team? Which, if I call the Dolphins a poodle team, I think the Rams probably also a little bit of a poodle team. Yeah,
they're a little soft, aren't they? Yeah. But here's the thing.
Kyren Williams hasn't been. I will say. Yeah. Like they've changed the identity a little bit. I will agree with that.
I mean, and Puka doesn't wear gloves. It's pretty cool. But I just think that Aaron Donald is still Aaron Donald, which is nice. They kind of also, they know who they are. And more importantly, like they have a quarterback who's very, very good at countering the blitz. And they have, I think, a scheme with like hot route. Like that's the problem with the Eagles. It's week, 17. They don't know what a hot route is. They're just like, they're blitzing. What do we do? And it's just like, oh my God, it's like the alarms are going off. And it's like, you're not on the Saints. You don't have a smoke detector. And so it's like, I think the main thing here is that Stafford is built so well to go against a Wink Martindale system where it's like, I just think they're going to pick them apart, honestly, because they don't have anything past the blitz. Like literally, they know that. That's why they blitz so aggressively. It's somewhat similar to the Vikings, who we'll talk about, but they just send the house and they say, good luck. And against Jalen Hurts, who has one read, he's like, But against Stafford, who I think is going to be more dynamic and can like throw from like Submariner style, I just think he's in a better position. It's a big line on the road for, like you said, a soft team. I just think the Giants like are fake tough because they send their guys every day. So
yeah. I mean, Tyrod Taylor does make me look at the Giants a little more favorably. I mean, Tommy DeVito's not even a backup in the league. He'll be out of the league in 3 years. Like he's not a backup. He's terrible. I have to imagine that when Tyrod came in, there was at least a little gulp in there.
Yeah, I was like, don't do this. Stop. And then also, especially when he hit that play to Slayton, I was just like, okay, we're going to lose. Yeah. It felt like DeVito that. Doesn't
have that throw. And yet I'm with you. I actually thought the exact same thing in terms of, and I'm being uncharitable. I think Stafford's a poodle quarterback, but it does seem like Sean McVay understood this team needed the offensive line to just like figure it out. And he must have put a lot of coaching into, because the offensive line wasn't this good to start the year. They were killing people right now. I mean, I think you could legitimately say they're like a team you don't want to play. If the Eagles play them, I think the Eagles are going to be worried. They might win, but I think they're going to be worried.
That's exactly it. Yes.
And I think it comes down to, honestly, the offensive line's like been so much better, such an incredible amount of improvement, and the coaching staff deserves credit for that. And Kyron Williams winds up looking like a hero, like a superstar, like a fantasy stud because of it. I don't think he's really anything special. Every time they put someone else in, that Ronnie Rivers in there, they're like, wow, that's 8 yards for Ronnie Rivers, you know. But anyway, I agree with you about styles make fights here, and Wink Martindale is not the coordinator to stop Stafford. So we're going to take a road favorite, 4.5. We're laying it. Road favorites, there aren't any bigger than the 49ers heading to Washington to face the Commanders. And finally, not only is Tyrod Taylor going to replace a bad quarterback, but finally Jacoby Brissett is going to replace Sam Howell. You and I were on this early with Sam Howell. He's, what'd you say, Baker Mayfield with bigger calves? He's he's not good. And it feels like, I mean, Ron Rivera has to know he's done no matter what happens. Winning 2 more games isn't going to help his cause. He's gone. So this has come from somewhere. It makes me feel like Sam Howell, maybe people have decided 1 year was enough. We don't really need to see any more. The question really just comes down to, can you see yourself laying that big of a number for the 49ers?
It's really big, yeah. I can. I think there's also the seeding is so important, just for them to hold on to the 1 seed. Now that there's the 1 bye, I think it's huge. And you look at obviously they look at the Eagles. They look at the Eagles' schedule, and they're going to be double-digit favorites probably the rest of the way or close to it. So they need to continue to win. And it's just like, what a terrible Christmas gift Brissett got. It was like, you're starting for the Washington Commanders against them. You know, like, it's just like, really? You couldn't wait till Tuesday? But you know, in the end, it's an improvement, but how marginal is it? Like, what does Jacoby Brissett do to this? He just takes away some of the splash plays for the defense, I think. He's not going to make as many bad plays. But he's still Jacoby Brissett. He's still, like, well below replacement level. He's Joe Flacco, probably, with, like, a better credit score. I don't know. Like, you know, maybe worse.
Hey, Dave Pyper just told me in his ear, Joe Flacco, since he's moved to Cleveland, has immaculate credit. To be fair, in Ohio, you don't need a lot of good behavior to have good credit.
They'll just give you a tractor. Yeah.
I mean, I'll say Brissett is a very different style of quarterback than Sam Howell. There is a way for all the crazy gets taken out of it, right? And suddenly the ball's where it's supposed to be. And Terry McLaurin's like, oh, yeah, that's right. This is what it's like when the quarterback throws it on time. I might argue that Jacoby Brissett is exactly a replacement level, you know?
Right.
That he's exactly the median guy. Among backups, compared to Nick Mullins, like, who would you rather have running your team? It's not even close. It's definitely Brissett. I'm 100% with you that the 49ers will go there and score 57 points. This is going to be a romp, and it's 13.5, and we are going to give them, even though, you know, it's the NFL, they are paid to play. Of course, there's a chance it doesn't cover, but we're going to guess that it will. All right. 3 late games. The Steelers are going to Seattle. I would have told you these guys have played 4 times already this year too. It just feels like they play every year. It feels like they play like bad games against each other constantly, and now we're going to get another one. Yay, Geno figured it out very, very late. Not early enough to cover in Tennessee last week, but suddenly in the fourth quarter undid all the damage they did in the first 3. But boy, people are talking about how that Russell Wilson trade was, so amazing for Seattle. And it was in terms of draft compensation, but it led to the Geno Smith era. And it feels to me like that could be coming to an end.
Yeah, it's a bridge quarterback, but a bridge to where? Like, what body of water are they crossing? Like, water.
Plus they paid him a lot of money. He's not a bridge.
Yeah. They had all this kudos for how easy it is to get out of it, but it's like, get out of it for what? So again, that's the question. Maybe Russ goes back there. Who knows? I'm kidding. But no, these teams are very similar. And you feel like you see them all the time. I think that's why we merged them a little bit. But Seattle, and that's the thing too. I saw sizzle reels this week. Like I ended up watching that game again, but like sizzle reels, I mean like highlights of that last Geno drive, which was really impressive. He made all kinds of throws. But what about the rest of the game where he like put them in a hole and they had to come back and make that dramatic drive? But it really was impressive, that last drive. But again, it was against a team who has a terrible pass defense. I'm kind of tipping my hand here, but I'm just not ready to trust this Geno thing. Like, if we did the recency bias quote about the Jets, I think Geno deserves his own like player version of that. So,
which is to remind people, the recency bias is like, if you've seen Geno be a hero at the end of a game, just bet against them the next week. Just it's probably
it's an
not
even
odd
thing. Yes, it's a coin flip.
I'm with you. I'm on the Steelers. Mason Rudolph isn't good. Like I acknowledge how whatever we're saying bad things about Geno, he's better than Mason Rudolph, but I just trust the Steeler rest of the team, frankly, more than I trust the Seattle rest of the team. At least I'm not saying they win. I'm just saying it's 3.5. Great. Seahawks won by a field goal. That's probably what I feel about it. So I too am on Pittsburgh. All right. I know that CBS wishes this game was going to be better, but it's not. It's the Bengals. It's the Chiefs. It was supposed to be this incredible fantasy final, right? This is it. You're going to have every player in this game, Bengals, Chiefs. And now you're like, I guess maybe I can use Patrick Mahomes in my final. Is Nick Mullins available? Can I? It's frankly gross, these two teams. I mean, if Burrow were there, it would be different. But we say it every week when we talk about the Chiefs. We know, talk about truth in advertising. We know exactly what they're going to be, and we know exactly what this is. Why would it be any different this week?
I just don't know. I don't think it will be. I don't know the total in this game, but I want to guess it. My guess is that it's like 43 or 42.5. Am I right, Dave?
I bet it's in the 30s.
It's bad. It's going to be low, which I always get scared about big lines in most, in these tight games because it's difficult to cover in those situations, but the Bengals could muck this up and try to make this their game. But I just don't see where the bounce back is for the Chiefs. What are they bouncing back from? They're the Chiefs. This is who they are. Like at some point.
Say it again.
Okay.
44.5. Oh, I thought it was going to be lower than that.
That might be due to the Bengals defense, possibly, just leaking a little bit lately. But I'm kind of tipping my hand here. This is not a thing where the bounce backs come. It's week 17. This is who they are, right? They're a boring team. Other than Rashee Rice, playing well, what's going on here? And I love the I don't love it. I think it's ridiculous. The misogyny with this being a pop star's problem. Other than the fact that you traded Tyreek Hill and drafted Sky Moore. This is on you, buddy. So yeah. That's what
if we we're not doing it because we don't have the time to do it, but if we were ranking offenses, just not fantasy wise, just in terms of trustable offenses. Yeah, this team can go and score enough points for me to win, even if my defense doesn't quite have it that day. They've got more than 22 points in them. Where would the Chiefs be? I'll give you 3 buckets. I'll give you 4 buckets. 1 through 8, 9 through 16, 17 through 24, 25 through 32.
It's going to be 9 through 16 because they still do have this quarterback who can do crazy things, but it's closer to the 16 than it is the 9. It's in the middle. They're in that infinite middle, which is bad because we just talked about Baker Mayfield being in that middle. So it's what are we talking about?
I think it's 17 to 24 or whatever it is. I think it's like a very if they get into a situation like they did with the Raiders last week, where Mahomes is great, and he doesn't usually do this, but he tries to take a handoff from a wildcat quarterback, fumbles at the other turn, returns it. Next play, throws a pick six, and suddenly they're in a hole. I have no confidence that offense can get out of it. It's crazy to say because it's Mahomes, but I don't have any confidence they're going to get out of it. If something weird happens in one of these 4 playoff games that they would have to play now, I most of them on the road, I don't.
Right. They need 10 and 11 play drives now. They used to be so it's I've followed Andy Reid obviously his whole career, but there is a cycle with his teams, and it's he peaks and then he forgets to draft receivers, and then he peaks and then he forgets to draft receivers. And no, seriously, it's happened many times. Where Jordan Matthews was your number 1. It's what? That's how this happens. He gets to these points. James Thrash was in my life before. What? No, but I really mean that. Whether it's a series of hubris or whatever it is, they focus their assets in certain places. The Eagles do the same thing. They forget that linebackers exist. My point is that there's a cost to the cycle of having kind of a singular mind run everything, I think. And it's the Belichick thing too. I mean, there can be a cost to so much power. I know it's a weird macro way to look at it, but I think it's real. I think it's structural is what I'm trying to say. I don't think it's just fluky or the league figured anything out. The league didn't figure anything out. They just don't have any juice. That's what it is. Yeah. It's a league of.
I don't think they have any juice, and I am absolutely not pulling the McCormick backflip here. I am on the Bengals +7. How about you?
Same. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. We get to the last of the non-primetime games. Right. The last one is a primetime game. In the late window, This is going to be fun to talk about. This is just going to be fun to talk about because seldom, Jim, do I get to be so right over such a long period of time as with Russell Wilson, because on this show, on my podcast, I've been telling people week by week that I couldn't believe how terrified the Broncos were of Russell Wilson and letting him, the 26 touchdowns, 9 intercept, whatever it is, like, you kidding me? You can't bench that guy. That's crazy. This is all about money. And like, sure, is it possible that knowing that he has this giant lump sum that would guarantee him in 2025 if he were to get hurt, does that influence it? Sure. But the reason it influences is because they see him playing so badly that they're like, we don't want this guy in 2025. This still comes down to an incredible fall. And I've been right this year on Wilson, but I was so wrong on him last year, thinking that he would just pick back up and be Russell Wilson. He is not a good player anymore, and he is no longer the quarterback of the Denver Broncos.
Yeah. Like maybe it was mid-season when they were just starting to hit their stride, or not their stride, but like they were winning those close games and they were like turning everybody over. I think Chicago went in there and played well, but the Denver won. My point being, I think you had like Pat Doherty on one of your Monday shows, and you guys were basically just like, no, just like not at all, just no. Yeah. And it wasn't like very debatable either. Just like, no, there wasn't a hint of, well, maybe. And it comes down to like scheming does matter. And like, I think sometimes the public doesn't want to say that like that a system can vault a player. Look, we saw it last year with Hurts to an extent, right? You talked about it. Like an ideal system, an ideal subset of factors can really make you look like a real NFL quarterback sometimes. We've talked ourselves into all kinds of stuff, like as a football public. You know what I mean? Like we've talked ourselves into some things being real. And this is not one of them. This is not a real thing where he was ascendant or returned. They were doing everything they could to hide him. I think also what it is the fantasy football subset or the highlights where you'd see like Cortland Sutton making like a one-handed backwards catch. My one question is, why did he have to do that? Like, why wasn't the ball here? But I'm coughing so much because I can't believe they're in my – that's called the Denver cough. It's when you don't believe in a team. But then again, we have the Chargers on the other side of this. At the same time, I don't care who the QB is. Because Peyton can keep them up. I guess the evidence here would be I guess the evidence for betting this game would be don't let Russell's absence change how you think too much about the Broncos.
I think that's fair, although I'm going to be on the Chargers. But I'll say I love and I agree with what you said. There are definitely long splash plays, and like in the comeback against the Patriots last week, a very, very crappy Patriots team, I might add, like 2 drives, they went hurry up, they went empty backfield, they threw and Wilson looked fantastic. And people would argue, see, he still got it. Gee, what does it tell us that when he goes hurry up and doesn't think, he can do it and hit against a bad defense, against a bad team. But the second there's any structure put around him, he spazzes out. And like, these are 2 straight seasons with very different coaching philosophies where different coaching staffs have determined, he can't do it anymore. He can't make reads. He has to have like hurry up man coverage flooding, like second read, he's done. And like, that's what Russell Wilson is now. This is everybody out there watching, wanting to be a Wilson apologist. You don't have to die on this hill. I'm not the biggest Sean Payton fan in the world either. I don't know what they're going to do, but like, you don't have to. Russell Wilson's also on Twitter right after it happened, liking tweets defending him. Come on, man.
That's always, that's bad. That's bad.
Let's ride. So anyway, there's no Russell Wilson in this game. We haven't even talked about the actual game.
Right.
Frankly, it doesn't matter that much. I guess Denver's technically still alive for the playoffs, but not really. They are a 3-point favorite at home against the Chargers. Which way do you lean? I'm
giving the points. I just think that this defense is the top unit, and in a game where I can't call it, I don't know if Keenan Allen's going to play. They keep hedging that with he's still in the training room. That would matter to me because there'd be something reliable. But yeah, like Eckler, like nothing. I just don't see how the Chargers score on this team. So yeah, that's it.
I'm on the Chargers. I don't feel super strongly about it, but it's certainly not because of Jarrett Stidham. They're bad. Yeah, they're bad. And then we get to Sunday night, and I don't think these teams are good either. I think they both get the. Actually, you know what, Dave? Just for one time, give us the bad team sound effect.
Oh no!
Thank you. They're visiting the Vikings, and the loser I think is done. The winner I probably also done, but there's a possibility. The Vikings lost T.J. Hawkinson now, and more penurious to them is that they gained Nick Mullins. He is crazy. He is Carson Wentz times 1,000, but boy, he gets to pick on a bad Packer defense.
He does. And then I wrote them up this week for ESPN for their profiles, and I just was like, I didn't watch a lot of that game, so I went back and watched it. I was like amazed. I was like, that box score is like should be framed, like that Mullins box score. But it doesn't even tell the story, because whether you believe in the stat or not, the idea of like turnover worthy plays, the idea is just bad decisions. Whatever you want to quantify it, he could have had like 8 interceptions. Like
it's definitely true.
Like legitimately, yeah. I think there was even times where he would throw it so directly at the Lions that they were shocked. Like they were just like, wait, what? And so he's really bad. The Packers are really bad. And I went back to prepare for this game. Like I went back to look at how the last game went, and they just blitzed the absolute. I know they do this every week, but they really blitzed the hell. I think they sent blitzers on like 54% of dropbacks last time they played Jordan Love. And I get it, Jordan Love played well against the Chiefs, but now we're seeing that that's not as impressive, right? So yeah, I don't know. My questions about this game are less about Mullins, because I think they're just gonna let the guy rip it. Like I just do. Especially, I just think it's gonna. Especially, I think Addison's gonna play. They're just gonna rip it. My question is, which Packers show up? They're the volatile team. They're the spazzes, and their defense. I want to retract. Dave, can you erase all the files from weeks 1 through 3?
Done. It's actually. I've been told it's been done. Yeah.
Yep. It's just the truth. I mean, I can't believe that I actually thought this defense was good. It's a bunch of names. It's a bunch of first rounders. It's one of those defenses where the Steelers used to be like this at times, where it was just like, oh, everybody on there is a top 10 pick. It's like, yeah, but they're not good. So, and Jair Alexander, like, that's the best suspension of the year, by the way. That's great. For nominating himself as a captain because he's from Charlotte. For anybody who doesn't, he joined the coin toss last week and picked the wrong thing. He made a wrong decision with picking which side of the field they wanted to play.
He said something nonsensical. He said defense. He just went defense.
Defense.
And the referee was like, "What does that mean?" And then everybody else in the huddle in the coin toss was like, "You stop talking. We're gonna kick."
He's a Curb Your Enthusiasm character. I respect him. He's good.
Yeah, I agree with most of your analysis here. Like. There's a world, obviously, where Jordan Love's been playing well. There's a world where he's just a lot more buttoned up than Mullins, and maybe but yeah, I'm going to take the Vikings here too. -1.5. I'm just going to take, like, for me, that they're saying which one's the better team, right? Because it's in Minnesota, and I'm like, yeah, I still think Minnesota's probably the better team, especially because with Justin Jefferson, there's a way for them to very directly exploit the main weakness that Green Bay has.
Right, and that's what it is. And then also, like, Alex, like, he's back. Like, Jefferson's back. And I don't know, what's the gap? I guess it's Jordan Love is better than Nick Mullins, obviously. But is he better with 7 people running at him is the difference. Yeah,
so, okay. I'm going to be watching that when I watch the game. That's a good point. Now comes the time when we nominate our favorite of the wagers of the week, and then we're going to ask you to do the same down in the comments. But actually, down in the comments, you don't just have to do that. We welcome all of your comments. Like, I was taken to task for the Buffalo accent last week, and I got to tell you, y'all were right. I got to tell you, I hear you. I heard your criticism, very constructive. I'm going to try to do better. Not right now, but like at some point I'll try to do better. It's not my best work, clearly. I've vamped a little bit. Jim, do you have a favorite wager of the week?
I do. I have like the Rams of Los Angeles for their East Coast journey. I saw a lot of the Giants. I've seen enough of the Giants this year to just think that they collapse when they face a quarterback who makes quick decisions. So, yeah.
All right, I'm going to take the Raiders. I hinted at it before. They're +3.5 in Indianapolis. There are a couple of games I like a lot. I thought about Detroit at Dallas as well, but I wound up going with those Raiders. I think that game should at least be maybe even, and maybe I'd like the Raiders to win straight up. So if you are interested in a money line type situation for the Raiders, I might like that. But you know what? What do you think? We're goofballs. We're 500 exactly. We're exactly 500, which is weird and crazy, but fun. What do you think? What's your favorite point spread of the week as we have enumerated them? Let us know down in the comments. And if you're looking for a place to maybe play the particular game that you like, maybe go to DraftKings and download the app and use the code HarrisTube, because that does give us no money, but just like a little credit in their eyes, and then maybe sometime in the future, they might come sponsor us again. That will do it for this New Year's weekend edition of the Harris After Dark, or whatever it's called show. Dave Pyper was playing a road game. He's producing from afar. I couldn't tell. I know he's not in the state of Michigan, so I'm being told that his credit rating went way up where he is. You guys can figure out what that means. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Jim, very much. I'm glad Dave's laughing in my ears because it wasn't that nice what I said. Jim, Happy New Year. Thank you so much for doing it.
Thank you. Happy New Year to everybody. I'm going to learn a Buffalo accent for next week. Just throw it out there. So, yeah.
All right. We have that to look forward to for the glorious Week 18. Happy New Year to everybody out there. Thank you so much for being our friends. We really appreciate it. We'll see you next time. Thanks so much for watching. Please, please, please smash that like button. Write a comment. Tell us who else you'd like to see us review film on. And of course, best of all, please subscribe to our channel and then click that little bell above the subscribe button and you'll be notified whenever we post a new video.